My name is Dylan Lekia. Welcome back to the second part of the pictorial projection. So in this video, you will be introduced to isometric projection, and also you will learn how to draw incline shape in isometric and learn to draw circle in isometric. In my previous video, we learned about the equipments and how to draw in oblique projection. So now let's move to isometric projection. Like oblique, isometric is used to draw objects in 3 dimensions. So if you remember in grade 7 and 8, you use the isometric grids to draw objects, but this year you will have to draw isometric shape blocks on a plain A3 paper without the grids. In fact, you have to create the guidelines using the t-square and the set-square. To start, you must know that isometric projection is based on inclined axis, and each inclined axis is drawn at 30 degrees, and the two axes will meet at a point which we call the lowest point. Obviously, we will use the set square of 30 degrees to draw the isometric projection. In fact, we will use the set square of 30 degrees on both sides, as both sides are at 30 degrees. Previously, you were given the depth when drawing isometric in grade 7 and grade 8. But now, like oblique, you will be given orthographic views, and you will have to search for the depth. Generally, the depth will be appeared in the top view. So let's take a quick example. So that's the front view and the top view. So we have to draw the front first. Let's take the front to the left and the depth to the right. So here is our front. Of course, you are using your 30-degree set square. And then, now let's draw our depth lines. So you will notice that the depth is 30 millimeter. So here is the depth. By the way, you will notice that the horizontal line is inclined at 30 degrees, but all vertical line will remain vertical. So that's a very good observation. Finally, you obtain your isometric projection. Do the exercise, page 58, exercise 4. So first of all, you start by drawing the 3 axes. You see how I rotate my set square on the 2 sides? So all dimensions, you will obtain them in the front and the top view. The crate, you will use the maximum length, maximum width, and maximum height. In this exercise, the maximum height will be 20 plus 25 plus 30. That makes you 75. The length will be 100 and the depth will be 50 millimeter. So you must know how to search for the dimension in the orthographic views. Now we will construct some guidelines to construct the front view. In fact, the front view will be on the left hand side here. So here is our guideline. Meanwhile, you must check that your T-square is properly placed on your design board. As the front will be visible, you can already use darker tones to draw it. You'll notice that I am using the same pencil, but I am applying different pressure to the pencil to obtain different tones. So here is the front view. Now I will draw the depth. So here I use fade line first. Now here no need to measure. It must be 50 millimeter because the line will end on the crate. Here also no need to measure again. You can use your set square to draw a vertical line. So you must use the guidelines well, and therefore you will save time in your exams because there will be no need to measure again. So afterwards, you use darker tones to complete your drawing. So I think it's finished. No need to erase the projection lines because you will get marks for that. Let's see how we will draw a circle in isometric. In isometric projection, you will discover that a circle will change into an ellipse. So let's take an example. Here we have the orthographic views of a cube of length 100 millimeter. On the cube, we will have similar circles of diameter 80 millimeter drawn at the center of the surface. We will now draw the isometric projection of the cube. Here is the cube, and now we will draw the circle in the direction of the front view. So it will be visible here. In fact, we will draw a square first in which we will place the circle. The square is drawn in such a way that the circle will be fit inside it. Eventually, the square will be of side 80 millimeter. Step 1. You draw the center line of the circle in the square, or you simply divide the inclined square into 4 equal parts. So here you are. Step 2. You now draw the longest diagonal in the square. Step 3. Now you draw the 2 shorter diagonal in the square, provided that the 2 shorter diagonal does not start on the same point of the longest diagonal. I repeat, the 2 shorter diagonal must not start on the same point of the longest diagonal. So if you have drawn it like this, it's not good. So you must be careful. So we have drawn these diagonal lines in order to get 4 centers. And these 4 centers, we will use them to draw the ellipse. So this is the first center, this is the second center, this is the third center, and this is the fourth center. Now for this center, the arc is here, it starts here and end here. This one, the arc will be longer, so it will start, the arc will start here and will end here. And this one too, it's the same as the smaller arc, it will start here and end here. And this one, it is the same as the second arc, it starts here and end here. You can see that I have used different colors in such a way that you don't make any confusions. Now, when you finish, you may use a darker tone to draw the ellipse. So of course, you must take your compass, place it on the 4 centers, and you draw the 4 arcs one by one. Very important, you must be very precise in this work. So now let's move to the other side. So it will be of the same principle. You draw first the longest diagonal, and then the 2 shorter diagonal. Remember that it must not start on the same point on the longest diagonal. And of course, the 2 shorter diagonal must be parallel. So here it is. Then you repeat the step. You will get the 4 center, and then you draw your 4 arcs. After you complete it, now you can use a darker tone to draw the ellipse. In fact, this method that we are using to draw the ellipse is called the 4 center method. That's why we have 4 centers inside the ellipse. So now at the top of the cube also, we use the same step, the longest diagonal, the 2 shorter diagonal, and we complete the ellipse. Look now at another case where we have a circular hole in a cuboid. So here we have the orthographic views along with the dimensions. First of all, we draw the crate. Obviously, the cuboid will take the shape of the crate. Next step, we draw the square in which the circle will take form. In fact, the circle will be converted into an ellipse. So like I have explained previously, we divide the square into 4 parts. Afterwards, we draw the longest diagonal and the 2 shorter diagonal. Eventually, we will obtain the 4 centers, and now we can draw the 4 different arcs using the 4 center to create the ellipse. It's not over because we must check whether the end of the hole, which is also in a circular form, is visible or not. So we have to displace the every construction lines which we have used to draw the ellipse at the back. It will be displaced with the same distance of the depth, that is 40 millimeter. So, to have a better idea of what you are doing, you can label the 4 centers so that we don't make any confusion. So the 4 center which will be repeated at the back will be A1, B1, C1 and D1. Again, construct the ellipse and we will see which part will be visible. So here it's the ellipse, and you will notice that only this part will be visible, and so only this one will be drawn with a darker tone. Here, finally, we obtain the isometric projection of the given orthographic views. We join now page 61, activity 11, exercise D. So, like the previous number, start to draw the grade first. The height will be the same distance of the diameter. And the depth also will be 50 millimeter. So you must imagine how the cylinder will be drawn in isometric. So the crate must be done in such a way that the cylinder is fit inside it. So then I divide the square into 4 parts. So no need to measure twice on the height. You can use your set square. The circle will be repeated at the back also. So at the back also we divide the inclined square into 4 parts. Now I draw the longest diagonal and the 2 shorter diagonal. Note that the 2 shorter diagonal must not start on the same part of the longer diagonal. So now you will get the 4 center, which you will use to draw the ellipse. So here is my pair of compasses. I place it on the center. So you see how I place it? This is the first arc. I place it here because these 2 arcs are of the same radius. You must be very careful, very precise with your work when placing your compass. So why I move backwards? Because that's also of the same radius. For the backward radius, some of it will not be visible. This is the smaller arc. I already knew that this ellipse will be visible. That's why I draw it with darker tones. But the ellipse at the back, only a part of it will be visible. So for this one I use thin lines. Now I draw a tangent passing through both ellipses. Eventually now I will know which part of the ellipse will be visible. So here you can see the cylinder. You must be very careful when using your compass. And remember that every lines forming the outline must be uniform everywhere. Let us try now page 64, activity 12, exercise 3. So you can see that I'm drawing the axes. So like all exercise, you start with the grid first. The length of the grid will be 30 plus the radius 30, twice the radius. So 4 times 30, 120. Don't forget that you must be familiar with the conversion of millimeter to centimeter, because on your drawings you will have to work with millimeter, and on your ruler it's printed number in centimeters. Now you start to draw the front view. So you draw some guidelines that will help you. In fact, this number consists of a semicircle. But I will draw a complete square that will help me to draw the semicircle. We must think as if there is a complete circle here. So that's why I draw the square on the upper part of the block. So lines that you already know will be visible, you can use darker tones to draw it. Be careful to not just to avoid making overlapping lines. Now concerning the semicircle, I draw like a full ellipse first. So this is the longest diagonal, the two shorter diagonal. Now you get marks for the four centers. So this part will be visible, that's why I've done it with dark tones. So this is the semicircle. Now no need to draw the complete ellipse, because you will not use the over arcs. Don't forget that the ellipse will be repeated at the back. So we have to construct again the incline square at the back. When you will be used to it, you can just move the center. I will do it Here I will just move the center by a depth of 50 millimeter. Now I must know where the arc will start and end. So that's it. At the back, it is not necessary to draw the inclined square again. You just have to move the center of the arc. So here you can see the isometric projection, which is consisted of a semicircle. Finally, we come to the end of this video tutorial. So, I hope that in this video you understand everything that is related to isometric. I guess now you can draw inclined shapes or even circles in isometric. Before leaving, if you have some doubts or you have some other proposals or anything to say, you are the most welcome. My next video will be based on orthographic projection. I thank you for your attention and for having watching my video tutorial.